I was about, I don't know, 4.5 or 5 years old. I didn't have the best, I would say, family life growing up. People could interpret it how they want. One of the punishments was I was locked in a room for quite a while, periods of time, and they thought that was a punishment. But there was a shelf full of books. Well, not full, but like 8 or 9 books on there. The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, all three of them, the volumes, and a couple other things. And I picked up The Fellowship of the Ring, and during my punishment time, I read it, and I read the rest of it, and I basically slept with The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and The Silmarillion in my bed till I was like 14, and that's how I discovered Tolkien. And from there, I branched out to everything else that related to it, like Norse mythology and people who write stuff like because they're inspired by Tolkien and all that sort of stuff. You know. Oh God. Well, when I was young, it was obviously there was escapism to it, and that still a sense is still there, but it's not crazy escapism. Um, like we all read or watch some stuff like for the pretty girls, or of course maybe like it's over the top and we just want to be entertained, like let's say martial arts movies or whatever, right? But the stuff Tolkien wrote is grounded enough in reality that you can almost imagine it happening and draw lessons from it that you can apply to real life. The hobbits work hard. They live simple lives because they want it, but they can work hard and do accomplish great things, for example. You know, and there's an element of sacrifice that almost everyone in Lord of the Rings goes through, and it shows that I think the lesson there is if you sacrifice to some extent, you can get things done, and that a strong element. I mean, a lot of media now, even good enjoyable media, isn't grounded like that. It's just Wheel of Time has a little bit of that too in there, although I think it's a different set of metaphors Jordan was going for with Wheel of Time than say Tolkien was with uh, Lord of the Rings, because it was very grounded in his World War One experience and so forth. This is going to sound strange, but it's pretty obvious if you see what my avatar is. It's Sauron, for a couple of reasons. One, he is in many senses one of the greatest villains of all time, but he's also one of the greatest, I guess you would say, victims of abuse of all time, because he was left. Yeah, he chose to follow Melkor, even though, given the power scaling differences, what real choice is there for someone who's like an ant compared to a mountain? But at the end of the first age, Ianwi, the Herald of Manwë, tells Sauron, "You should return to you are ordered to return to Valinor for judgment." And it says in Silmarillion that Sauron was very briefly repentant, and then Ianwi just walks away, doesn't say, "Okay, man, come on, let's." It shows that everyone is presented with a circumstance that can turn things around for them. I'm not saying everyone that evil can be redeemed. What I'm saying is that even as evil as Sauron was, there are always points when anything could be changed. So when something bad happens, the lesson needs to be learned is you need to pay attention well ahead of time. All that is required for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing, and that's kind of why Sauron is the most important character. There's a very strong lesson there that impacts our society and our world more than almost any other lesson I could think of from the Lord of the Rings. I'm gonna answer this two ways briefly. Faithful to the Spirit, it's probably Bakshi's movie, the animated film. Jackson is close, but I think he deviated more and more with the second and third movies. Faithful in terms of text, like in terms of the events, none of them. I mean, they just it really can't be done as a movie. It needs to be a mini series type of thing. So I would say there's two angles. There's Faithful to Spirit. It's Ralph Bakshi's original animated movie, and then Jackson's Fellowship of the Ring adaptation, very close second to that. And faithful to the actual text, nothing. Right now, I kind of feel numb. I go through periods when I watch some of these trailers, and I think people focus on the wrong thing when they're saying what's wrong with the trailer. Uh, they're focusing on individual deviations from canon and not understanding that Amazon, the strategy behind what Amazon, not the people doing the show, but the people funding Amazon, the corporate board and all that, their target is not this narrow chunk of appendices, which if I had any idea I would have the book show you. It's like it's not even one. I mean, it's this space between my fingers, how much they actually have license to. Their target is the rest of the property that's coming up, and that's what makes me angry, because whether you like the Jackson movies or not, I respect them, I enjoy them to some extent or another. Warner has done a decent job with their license. I don't think Amazon is just going to throw money at this, and if they hire the wrong person to do their future Lord of the Rings adaptation when they get those rights, it's going to be just as horrible as this. I don't trust Amazon to be a good warden of those rights. Warner has shown they can be a decent warder of those rights, but I don't trust Amazon. That's the fundamental issue. We'll have great stuff like Reacher out of Amazon, a couple other series over the years, and horrible stuff like Rings of Prime and Wheel of Prime. You can't trust that, because the people overhead hire anyone to do anything. They don't enforce any consistency.
As ever, this is Salty Texas Sea. I am Corey DB. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you've seen and heard, please hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you on board. That way you know, and we have things like live streams, which we are going to be doing every Tuesday evening. Take care. I hope you're having a great 2022.